artificial intelligence is a tool that is being used to help elevate human production, and it also is changing the face of production and even replacing some jobs. Hi, thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. We have this podcast to help parents and caregivers with having the resources, strategies, and tools needed to make sure that their children are on track for learning and to stay on track for success. So you obviously, have a lot of expertise. What are those skills? You mentioned it earlier, that we need to really be helping them develop.
Kids need to understand prompting skills. It's a skill set. If I want ChatGPT to give me a lesson from my fifth grade science class, the first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to give it a role. I'm going to say act as a 25-year veteran fifth grade science teacher, and the AI will take on that role. You always got to give the AI a role. So it'll take on that role. You always have to give the AI like, how do you want it produced? You want it in bullet points? You want it as a paragraph? Do you want, because it'll just assume. You always got to give the AI context. Okay, you're a teacher. It knows you're a teacher, but you're teaching inner city schools. You teaching people who get the best results are those who know how to prompt.
So the first skill is prompting. Is the second skill detecting the bias or detecting it?
So the second skill is detecting bias. The third one is critical thinkers, and you can use the AI to help you to be a critical thinker. Like, you can have the AI, like I said, produce both sides of a debate, and you could analyze it, but just finding ways to help the kids to be critical thinkers. Um, Being collaborative, that's another skill, because what's going to happen is when it's AI everything, human skills are going to be at a premium. Like, you got to think, okay, what can the AI not do? Like, what skill? Like, so being collaborative, being a people person, knowing how to communicate, right? Uh, Teaching kids. I'll give you a perfect example. Communication too. That's a huge one. Is teaching kids how to be effective communicators, because the AI, even though they're getting better, right? It's getting better with the voices and the chat bots and communicating with people. It's not a human. So teaching kids and how to be effective communicators by a simple one I tell parents is how
Mm-hmm.
and it can visually see and hear everything. It's free, and it can be a debate coach. It can be, but you can use that to help you with your communication. I do with my kids. I have them. I say record them giving a speech about whatever topic, and we put it in. And I tell the AI, act as a 45-year expert debate coach, and I want you to analyze their entire speech, and then I have it voice it to them in a podcast. I make a podcast out of it. We listen to it in the car driving, and so, but communication is another skill that's going to be very important.
Yes.
Because so creativity, communication, working with in a team setting, um, these are human skills. So we have to really develop those human skills. It's funny, Barack Obama gave a speech a few months ago. For the past 15 years, it's been go into STEM, right? Go to science, technology, engineering, and math. Don't go into the humanities. That's kind of been the thing, right?
Yeah.
And Obama said, he goes, even though I'm not telling you shouldn't go into STEM, he goes, with AI, the AI can do all the STEM. So those humanity skills are actually going to become even more valuable. So he says, go, actually, I'm telling you, he says, you might be better off going into humanities, learning, like being an actor or whatever, because at least you'll develop some communication skills and human skills with different humanities and creativity skills, because those skills are going to become so much more important. Because you learning how to code, I tell people this all the time, people don't like when I say it, but like, coding is dead.
Yeah, the computer is able to do it.
Right. Like, coding, it can, I taught a class this summer, and I taught a bunch of middle schoolers. They all in a week and a half build ready websites, right? They build they can build apps. You can, and anyone can do it. It's not something If you know the right tools and the right prompts, you can build something that it would have taken someone that was a 10-year, 20-year veteran learning Python.
That's hard anymore.
And so, and in about a year from now, any kid can produce anything that, so what, so again, that, but then what's going to separate people if anybody,
That is sounds scary. That does sound scary.
and it is, you know, and it is, yeah, but this is what's happening.
You have to be ready, right? You're right. That is, yeah, because
That's why I tell people it's the biggest. That's why I tell people, I try not to sugarcoat. I say no, it's the biggest innovation ever, and people don't. And maybe I'm biased because I'm deep into the weeds with this, but I firmly believe that nothing is bigger than AI, right? Like nothing, and people that even understand it, they don't really understand what's about to happen. And I tell,
right. And I yeah, and I didn't even think about it.
yeah, because every innovation. Let me say this: every innovation
Yeah, I haven't even thought about.
in human history. We're talking about the internet. If you're talking about television, if you're talking about the phone, it was like this. Growth was like this. But AI is not like this. AI is like this. It's exponential. It's exponential growth. Because right now we're in an arms race in open AI, in Meta with Zuckerberg, in um, you got Grok with um, what's my man? I just went blank. It's Tesla. I just went blank.
Is it Elon Musk?
Elon's like all these companies are, and I follow this, and every day there's a new improvement. Like every day, like I can go on and on about all the different tools, and people don't even realize how good some of it is, how good some of the video generation is, the art, the podcasting, the what you can produce, and it's going in every sector, right? They say that if a doctor in 5 years is not using AI, they can be charged with malpractice, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't use the AI. And lawyers, there's all these whole a lot of law firms are using an AI tool. This popular AI tool that they, so every sector, right? And that's what brings back to the schools is that schools need to realize you need to accept it and embrace it. At my school, it's blocked, it's banned.
But we're like, don't use it. Don't use it.
And that's what a lot of schools are doing. They just block it. Well, it's not blocked for the teachers. That's some schools is blocked for everyone, but it's blocked for the students, which I'm trying to get changed because I'm in my school districts. I'm in Long Beach, and Long Beach is the third biggest district in California. There's like 40,000 students, right? I'm the only teacher on the task force, right? The AI task force, and I'm trying to advocate. You got to get it. You know,
In the task force in your district, you're the only teacher.
you have to.
Well, thank you so much. We always need teachers. And there's so many policies and everything that come out without talking to teachers. But it's like you as a teacher are supposed to use this policy now because these people who haven't been in a classroom or maybe haven't been in the classroom for 10 years have made this policy for you. And it's like you don't understand. And then we know that every classroom is so different. Every teaching job is a little different based on our students, even so it's in different subject areas. It's just age groups, all of that. So it's good that you're there to advocate.
You're an English teacher. You're the best coder since you taught English.
Mm.
Because all coding is now. That's why I tell people: if you know the English language, and if you really know the English language, those are the best coders.
Yeah, it's such an important conversation. I didn't even think about the coding thing because I'm not a coder like that or whatever. So I didn't think about because those are like really you know affluent people, and then it's not my yeah. I've done a little bit. I actually have an authorization for computer science, but it wasn't nothing that I focused on. But I did a little bit of it, little stuff there, little dabbling.
You knowing English is more important than you understanding Python and all these coding languages, because it's all natural language now, right?
Okay. Okay. With my students, I do things to help them to value their own personal experiences, right? Like if they do a draft of something about a personal experience, I've had AI like do a second draft and add to it, and then purposely kind of annoy them with the draft, because it's like my mom doesn't say that. We don't play Uno or whatever, and so they're like motivated to change it. But I'm like, see, you're more important than the AI, and no one can replace your personal experience, right? Like it's making up things that they think your mom might say, or that what games you might play at Christmas, but your personal experience matters more, and that memory, or even sharing that with other people, is more important than AI. So that's one way that I
And for English, I was gonna say, have you heard of Brisk AI?
no.
So I just because you reminded me, the best tool if you do teach English for writing is to use a tool called Brisk.
Brisk.
Brisk is it's BRISK, and it's an extension. It's a Chrome extension that works with Google Docs. So if you have kids type on Google Docs, you as a teacher can see what they're typing. So first of all, if they did plagiarize, you could see it. It gives you a recording of their typing. So you can see from they started typing at 8:05, and from 8:10 to 8:15 there was nothing, and then from 8:15 to 8 you literally can like go through the and look at their right. And then but it gives the kids tips. It doesn't give them the answer, it gives them tips. And that's another thing too. I think teachers don't realize there's a lot of AI tools
Okay.
even within ChatGPT. There's a if you go to ChatGPT, there's a study mode where it's not going to give them the answer because, and I tell parents this too, right? Yeah, you can go to ChatGPT and it'll give the kids the answer. I tell kids this. Yeah, you can cheat. It's easy, but you're gonna fail the test. You're not gonna understand it.
Yeah.
Like you can cheat on your homework, or it's not gonna help you though. Because first of all, especially in colleges, they're starting to do stuff in class. Like the bulk of the grading now is what can you do in class, right? Where you don't have access. So it's not helping you to cheat. It's just not going to help you. And a lot of kids are realizing that, like, this is not helping me. Like, I can cheat. Okay, I tell them, go ahead and cheat. You're going to fail the class, because, you know,
Yeah. We're both teachers. To get our certification, we had to take tests. We had to sit down and take tests, and there we can't use AI on those tests. We have to like sit there and write it.
right.
They give us like really antiquated computers, and that we can't bring anything in. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my watch, I couldn't, nothing, right? So it's just like I either have the knowledge to sit down there and type it up, or I don't. And so if I've just been relying on AI, and I think some people, like, that's the fear for my students, right? Like, we do need to show you how to use AI responsibly, and help keep you motivated, right? Because we've had years that we've had to work on our writing, right? But if the kids are trying to skip over that and they don't have that development, they're just prompting AI, they're going to be really lost, right? Like, because they didn't go through the process of spelling things incorrectly, making run on sentences, whatever. And, just the process that you go through as you're learning.
The Rewrite Method and the Rewrite Method Workbook are your go-to resource for helping kids to learn to fall in love with writing. It has the tips, tools, resources, strategies, and skill building activities to help kids fall out of writing hate and into loving to write. Get your book set today.
This episode is going to include Tiffany's tips. She is a homeschooling mom. She's a mom of 3, and we're going to get some tips from her on how to get our children the competitive advantage.
I believe children come here, Earthside, who they
Mm.
already are. They're already the person, whatever your, TD Flana, when you came here, that's who you were. You were not I think that the older generation kind of saw it like you train the child to be this way and it's
Yes.
very rigid and do what I say, and I gotta make sure that they're,
Mm-hmm.
just that very rigid way of thinking. But I believe that we're just helping to um, shape and mold and direct them to be more of who they are, and it's
Yeah.
our job as parents to um, take notice and pay attention. So that was
Yeah.
another thing that I wanted to talk about with teaching and being your child's teacher. It's good to know what type of learner they are.
Yeah.
So you can learn that by observing them, just really paying attention to what makes them excited, what lights them up, what gets them excited, their eyes sparkle, what
Mm.
they go, hey, they're happy that we're going to go outside and run around, and get physical. So you have a more physical learner. That kid probably would benefit more from doing activities that are outside, and you're maybe putting sight words all around outside, and they're going on a scavenger hunt, or they're going to like throw a ball in, you know, the red, the colored, work on colors by throwing balls or doing something
Mm-hmm.
physical. So I think that that's what I try to do also as a homeschool parent, paying attention because, I have 3 children. They're all different, you know,
Yeah.
uh, learners. So it's really important to know what type of learner you have so that you can engage with them in that way that is most attractive to them, or like in a way that they will be more attentive.
Yeah.
You'll find that they'll be more excited to learn, and they'll have fun and be more engaged. And you won't be having to bark those orders, sit down, write your name, do the,
Yeah.
those things are gonna lessen because you've gotten them to do something that they enjoy
Yeah.
and suits their
Absolutely.
personality. So I think that that's something that is important for parents to know, that they just have to take the time to really pay attention to what their child is really into and really is drawn to.
I think that's such a good point because, like, going back to what you were saying about they're already formed, they already have their personalities. Because, as parents or even as a teacher, like, you're asking everyone to do the same thing, or you're asking, you're doing it in a certain way, but certain kids take to it, certain kids don't. Certain kids really like some things. Some kids just want to sit and draw, some kids want to, so they already have their own preferences despite like what we would like, right? Like you may ask everyone to do your kids to do something a certain way, and then you realize, well, he doesn't want to do it that way, or he'd rather do this first, or so you if you're paying attention, you'll see like, oh, that doesn't really work for that kid because he
Yeah,
doesn't like that. She doesn't really like this. She prefers this instead. And of course, it's a lot easier if we are being attuned to those things that they like or dislike. And of course, they have to do things sometimes that they don't
yes, of
like,
course.
but it's easier to get them to do the things they don't like when we have been able to give them plenty of things that they do like, right? But if it's just things that they don't like and we're not paying attention to any of that, and it's just one thing after another that they don't like, then they get really agitated with us as parents or educators or whatever, because we're not paying attention. And a lot of the stuff is not, it's not a must that you have to do this one thing first. Like, oh, well, you could do this first and then you could do this next. It's okay if you like to do that first. And
Being
of
flexible.
yeah, being flexible is important.
For sure. Yeah.
You need to look at AI as a personal tutor in the sense of what separates people that have a lot of money and people that don't have a lot of money is they have access to the best resources. They have access to, you know, the best tutors in the world and come to their house and $100. I said, well, now everyone has access to PhD level tutors.
Okay.
at their fingertips, everyone in the world for free,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you need to use AI as a tutor to help your kid. You know, I had to my own self. I just got my administrative credential, right? And to get your admin credential, you can either go to school, which I didn't feel like doing, or you can take this, test that no one passes, right? This
I took the test. That's what I was talking about. I just took it not too long ago. Yeah.
you're in what state? Where are you at?
I'm in California, Los Angeles. Hmm.
Okay, the C pace.
C-Pace. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I just took the C. So, but I use AI to help me study for the C pace.
Hmm.
And I passed it because I use AI to help me. Like now, while I'm taking the test, there's no AI.
Yeah.
You know, it's all essays, right? There's no way. But I used AI to help me to study, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of having AI do the work? Like, it's not going to help me if
Yes. That's yeah.
it's nothing. That but I would type, for example, I would type my essays and I would have it critique it for me,
Yeah.
right? What can I do, right? I would make audio podcasts,
Mm.
right? And listen to it in the car. I listen to it in the gym.
Yeah.
I would have it quiz me. I would talk. There's an app where you could talk to the AI and back and forth. It'll quiz you. But there's many tools. I tell parents that you could use AI as a tutor, right, to help your kids, right? And I can talk to whether that's ChatGPT, Google AI Studio, because people just think of ChatGPT, right? That's the most popular one. But I really love Google AI Studio. Um, I try to, because that one is also free. But whatever on your screen, I do this with my own kids. My kids, okay, can you quiz me on? I got this test on Roman history. The Google AI Studio can see what's on their screen, and it will, like, you can say, hey, can you quiz me? And it'll talk back to you, right? It'll just quiz you as if they're right there, right? And they can see what's everywhere on your screen. And because it can see what's on your screen, it can teach you anything. Also, if you want to learn something, it can walk you through. Say, it'll do this now. If you want to learn how to do create some software or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
something that doesn't make sense, right? You can use that.
Yeah.
Like I said, ChatGPT has a study feature
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where it will not just give you the answer.
I just love that.
If you put it on that mode, I tell parents to use the study mode on ChatGPT have your kids use that for math or anything. Upload the work to it. Another tool, another thing I tell parents is, if your kid has a test, this is one of the best things, is if they have a study guide, right? You can take a picture of their study guide or scan it or whatever, upload that to a ChatGPT or any large language model, and you could tell it, okay, can you rewrite this? Say your kids, like my son loves basketball, right? So I'll say, okay, can you turn this Roman history document or you know test and relate it to the NBA and use the best players in the NBA. I want you to talk about LeBron and Steph and relate it to Roman history. People are like, that has nothing. It will do it. It'll relate it, right? And then what you do is for our auditory learners, you could turn it into a podcast, right? It's very simple. It's in Google Ad Studio. It'll take the text, it'll turn into a two-person podcast, and they're talking back and forth, and the kid listens to it, and I say, make sure and it's prompting again. I say, make it entertaining and make it relatable for a 12-year-old, but keep the content of the Roman history. Like, I want them to understand the facts, all the boring stuff, make it fun, and then it's 10-minute podcasts, right? So they listen to the 10-minute podcast and they'll grasp it more than some, and then when they read it, it'll make more sense. Like, oh, now I get it, because now they put it in, they related it to something that I'm into. So this boring topic that my teacher said that I could care less about, right? But I do that with all my kids' tests, right? Before their tests, I make it into a podcast, and there's another tool called Notebook LM that will do that. But you use the AI where otherwise You couldn't do this a few years ago. You couldn't do things like this.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say, I tell people you can take it and turn it into a podcast. Like, how long is that going to take? 3 minutes?
Who has time for that?
Literally 3 minutes, right? And so, whether or you can turn it into a for people that are visual, you can take it to ChatGPT and you can get visuals from text. It'll turn into a visual representation, right? For our kids that want to see things visually, right? So those are just some tools whether that I used to be a special ed teacher, like I said before, and so my thing is differentiation, right? You got kids different levels. Teachers are like, how do we? I got that's the hardest thing to do in a classroom of 35 kids. You got
Mm-hmm.
kids that are this level, but with AI, there's many tools you could differentiate any text for. Okay, seventh grade level, sixth grade level, right? Like that.
Oh, wow.
you know you can put into a tool called InVideo, and you can turn any text, it'll create a video of it, right? It'll create a these are free tools. These aren't even now there are paid tools, but these are all free.
It's so exciting. That's great.
On my website, I don't think I said that. I have a website too called quinsite.org, where I have like all these tools listed. I have all these tools. I even have a on my website. I have a prompt generator that will generate an app. Like, so if you say for example, let's say you have a what's it? I don't know, a math test, so you want to learn fractions. You say I am a seventh grader learning fractions, and it will create a super detailed prompt for you. You put that prompt into a tool called Claude or ChatGPT, it doesn't matter. And ChatGPT will it'll code out a whole app on fractions, a fun app on fractions, or a fun app on learning about you know uh, African history, or a fun app about learning grammar rules. It doesn't matter, right? But it's free, right? So
That is cool.
yes, and a lot of people they're just not aware.
Okay. And like it just hits home what you're saying is like now you have access to like the best tutors where other people have that access, but now it's like free ways to do that.
One another thing I always say is have your kids start building stuff with AI, right? Have your kids create books.
Right.
You can create a book if like I've had my son who's 9 has made 5 books with AI,
Okay.
right? You can publish these books. And so I tell people, parents, start having your kids do stuff now. They can do it now. Like, you don't got to wait for them to go to college for them to, you know,
I love this.
if your kid's into video creation, have them make video. If you have a girl that's into fashion, they could make stuff with AI fashion, like it can expedite the process,
Very much.
because now anyone who's creative, so I tell you this, in the past, you needed resources and money
Yeah.
to, you know, like I, for example, I like video, I'm making videos. Like I don't have the money to create a big movie, but now you don't, you just have to have the idea,
Yep.
and you just got to be aware of the tools,
Okay.
right? Music, you kids that are into music, they could make, there's an app called Suno where they can make really good music, right? You got to know how to prompt it and use, if you're into that, but you can make quality style music if that's your interest.
Ooh.
But anyone can do that. And I always encourage parents to have their kids start creating stuff, podcasts, books, comic books, music, apps, coding, the whole app. I'm telling you this, when kids realize that they can create websites and apps using what's called no code vibe coding tools like Lovable, that's the number one. Lovable is the number one growing website just past ChatGPT in the world, and it creates apps, no code app. All you gotta do is just type it in, right? You type in natural language, and kids love it. They like, I can create an app, a game. Kids who love to get, like your kids who love playing video games. Okay, have them create a video game, and then English comes into that because they got to know how to prompt it.
Wow. Thank you so much.
They have to know how to prompt the code. It's all natural language, right? And so, but this is what everyone is doing, and this is what, and I tell parents this: everyone is going to be doing this. This is not a, like, oh, this is just something that's a fad. This is not a fad. This is what's coming. And by having our kids at home create these things, because I'll be honest with you, the schools aren't doing it. Like China, it's mandated. They just passed the law in China from kindergarten to 12th grade this fall. Every kid has to learn AI. The whole country, from kindergarten to 12th grade, and each level, but it's more advanced.
I can just laugh because, just like what we've been talking about, they're blocking our kids from it.
Right.
They're not letting the kids use it at school.
Yeah.
When we know they have access in other ways to it, but we're just not teaching them.
Right.
So it puts us at a disadvantage. But this podcast is all about giving your kids the competitive advantage. So make sure you're supporting them with learning this stuff at home. Maybe giving them, letting them take a course or something to support them with it. But yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Curry. Yeah.
And really quick, I know I gotta say this because I always want to say this just so that I can be fair.
Say it. Yes.
I gotta say this because this, so some pitfalls. Just be aware, parents, that if your kid is on AI, just be aware of this. Be aware of chatbots, meaning, because just like social media, you got to know what they're doing in social media. What's going to become the new thing? What's going to surpass social media is AI chatbots. Kids are going to start getting connected to these chatbots and like they're real people.
Oh, yes.
It's already happening. Kids are getting socially connected to the AI. So you have to just keep an eye on that because that's real. There's as much be
like having a relationship with it.
Yeah, that relationship, and I always teach the AI ethics. Just
okay.
Turn off the mode in ChatGPT, though it's not sharing your data with it's not training on your data. You don't want it if you don't want it training on your data. And if you're really concerned with that, you can get an AI where it's only on your computer. It doesn't go to the cloud. There's ways to do that as well. And so, just be aware, because just really talk to your kids about the ethics of AI, meaning bullying. Kids can bully with AI. I can take your voice and manipulate it, or your image. So these are just things that just be aware, because these are real things. So I always want to say that, because it's not all peaches. I'm here talking about the amazing things of AI.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the bad of AI. I'm not going to act like there isn't.
Okay.
So just be, a lot, so just, I wanted to say that.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's important.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much again for joining us on the Falling for Learning podcast. And Mr. Tarquinn Curry gave you all kinds of resources, your website, all of it's in the show notes. And make sure, again, you're doing something to give your kids the competitive advantage. Have a great week.
Thanks again for supporting the Falling for Learning podcast. New episodes go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. You can watch us on youtube.com at Falling for Learning, or listen on all major podcast platforms such as Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, and much more. For more resources, visit fallinginlovewithlearning.com. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week.